What's up? This is Casey,
Chase.
and this is Shot Science Overtime number 171. Chase, come over here. What the heck? Figure it out.
Right and left, left and right.
All right. Yeah. So this is going to be like a regular live show. Hopefully you guys can hear us now. But we're going to do a quick live show, about 10 or 15 minutes. So if you have questions, get them in right now. We're going to take a little bit of time to do our topic for the top of the show. And we want your questions while we're doing it. Make sure you're following us on everything Shot Science, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. Go to shotscience.com to check everything out. But let's get into our topic, which is keys to attacking the basket. Chase.
Yeah, so the key things we want to focus in on when we're attacking the basket, number one, most important thing is always keep your eyes up, right? That's the biggest thing when you attack the basket. You got to be able to see where the defenders are coming over to help or whether you have a clear lane, how your defender's playing you. So number one, always keep your eyes up. The second one, really important, is north-south, and we teach that a lot in a lot of our different videos, a lot of our overtime sessions, stuff like that. We talk about north-south. What that means is you're not going to the side. You're going directly at the rim, making sure that you have that straight angle so that the defender can't easily get back in front of you by going to east-west.
Because if you loop out, you're just essentially giving them time to recover or step in front of you. You don't want to do that. You don't want to give a step back to anybody. You want to cut that off. You want to be the one in control. And one of the ways that you do that is having that very deliberate kind of directionality to that north-south direction. If you're looping, you might as well just hand the ball over to those guys because you're not getting anywhere.
Right, and we call that taking good angles. So we got eyes, angles, and then the last one being contact. So we want to make contact with our defender. That's always an important thing. And that doesn't mean stick your shoulder in the middle of their chest and run over them, right? That's an offensive foul, obviously. But you want to make contact. So you want to go right at their right leg or left leg, depending on how you're attacking the basket, to make sure that you make contact with them. Because when you make contact, it forces a separation. And when you can create space on offense, that's when you have the upper hand. Because now they're closing back out to your shot or trying to get back in front of you. So we want eyes, we want angles, and we want contact, right? And usually if there's contact, it's going to be a foul on the defender unless you just absolutely run over them. So we want to make sure that we're being physical and attacking that defender.
And you guys, you need to really concentrate and build up your tools to be able to create space, because if you're trying to make shots with people on you all the time, or your contested shots every time you take a shot, your shooting percentage is going to be in the toilet. Like, you really need to get that separation, because that's going to give you those easy open looks that are going to really help you in getting your shot off and having the accuracy and the percentage as high as you possibly can. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that goes into one of the questions that we have, which is how can you beat someone to the basket when they are taller than you? Right. So I think one of the biggest things, and there's two factors that
that's from point/shooting guard basketball training.
Yeah, and I think there's two key things on that. Number one, how can you get by the defender when they're guarding you, which is really important. So let's talk about that first. It doesn't really matter if they're tall or short or whatever it is. I mean, speed and quickness have a factor on it, but it's really in setting them up. So that's where we use things like jab steps, pump fakes. We don't want to overuse them, but we want to sell the one or two items that we're using to get that defender to bite. And it's really key and important to make sure that those fakes, those directional look, it's using your eyes, it's using a ball fake, a jab step, that has to look like the real thing.
Yeah.
So a jab step has to look like you're ripping through and taking a step. You have to go all in with it and not just a kind of a fluffy jab step. So that's number one. The second piece to that, I think, is, and maybe more of where this question was going, was when you're getting to the rim on a taller player, how do you get the ball up over them, right?
Yeah.
So there's one thing about getting around them where usually the defender's still close to you, but the how do you finish at the rim? And that goes back to our last piece, which was the contact, right? So angle's number one, to get around them. Make sure you set them up with a good move so you can make that first step. And then the last one is contact. So when you're at the rim, if you're making contact with the defender, they have to separate, right? Just basic physics. When you make contact, the momentum's going to carry them backwards. So you want to make that contact and then use that separation to be able to get the shot off. And you see that all the time with guys in the NBA, some of the shorter players, the Chris Pauls, the Kyrie Irvings. Those guys are always making contact and then finishing because the defender has to react to it.
And the benefit of the doubt always is going to go, or most always is going to go to the offensive player.
Yep.
If you're creating that contact. And that's why you're allowed to kind of get a little bit of body on that guy, because you are basically given a little bit of space around yourself to be able to do that. You don't want to lower your shoulder. You don't want to push off like that. You don't want to hit. It is really just a very subtle use of your body. And that's one of those things you have to work at to make it look like it's something other than what it really is. You don't want it to make it look like it's deliberate necessarily. You want to make it look like it's basically you just kind of
You want to make it look
leaning
like you're going to the rim,
Yeah.
right? And the defender's in the way, and so there's contact. That's really more, it's about the angles. If you take really good angles, contact is going to happen. And
Yeah.
that's really the contact you're looking for, not the to the rim, throwing an elbow, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and as an offensive player, you want that contact because you really are given the benefit of the doubt. So you'll be able to neutralize the defense because you're getting them off balance, or you're creating the contact, which is a foul, and you are concentrating on getting the contact, but also on finishing the basket. And one of the other things I'll say too about playing against taller players and stuff like that, that's one of those things you kind of have to scrub from your mind is the height thing.
Yeah.
Because if you're worried about that, that is something that you can't control, but you need to focus on the advantages that you have. Maybe you're a little bit quicker. Maybe you're a little bit more agile. Maybe you're, able to get the angles better than that person. And that person also has a mentality that you're a shorter player. I'm going to be able to block that guy on every shot. Use that against him. Give him a shot fake. He's going to jump in the air because he has that mentality. Go by.
Yeah, and a big piece is selling those moves. We touched on that just a little bit. That's really important. I'm old, I'm slow, and I still play basketball. And you know what? I can beat faster, younger players by just setting them up with a nice move, right? It's all about using your body. It's the eyes to make it look like you're going to take a shot. It's the jab step. It's the use of your body movement to change directions and really getting a good feel to how to leverage that. I mean, you see all these old, crafty basketball players that end up, making moves and getting around younger, faster, stronger players. It's because they know how to sell those moves. Almost out of necessity of playing and learning that, man, I have to do something to be able to get this.
Well, you see that all those like super athletic guys. Not everybody has a 20-year NBA career, but the ones that stick around, they are able to transition from that game that's really based on athleticism typically into where they're using their skills to really kind of take their game to the next level. You saw that with Kobe. You see that with Dirk Nowitzki.
Vince Carter.
20
years in the league, I think, next year.
Richard Jefferson. I mean, all these guys. I mean, if you go talk about, maybe not Dirk, but you talk about some of those guys in their early careers, they were flying dunkers from, they were just jumping out of the gym. Now they're actually playing a different kind of game. And if you're able to develop that game early, that's even better for you. Yeah. Okay. Speed Boss 9 says, by the way, I really like this channel. Thanks, buddy. We really appreciate you, and we're glad to have you on Team Shot Science. Okay, let's see here. Somebody's asking, or Wace Ibby is asking, Kobe or Jordan?
Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, it's Michael Jordan, without a doubt. We grew up watching him play. But, we don't even need to get into
who do
it.
you like better, Jordan or Jordan Light? I'm going to go with Jordan.
Oh, jeez. Shots fired.
I love Kobe, but he's not Jordan.
Yeah, I would agree. But Kobe, obviously one of the greatest, for sure. Let's see here. This one is from Dan Lacote, who's asking, best way to transition from forward to guard. How can I show my coach the new skills I've developed in the offseason? I feel like the coach has labeled me a big, and I want to change that. Well, that's one of those things that's a little bit tough. Like, I think that you have to kind of go a little bit coach by coach on that, because you don't know how your coach is really thinking about you, or how they've kind of formulated how the team is put together. I think one of the ways that you do that is just by going out and playing in the open gyms or in the open practices and kind of playing that game.
Yeah.
And when there's an opportunity, when you're actually on the team, kind of utilizing that opportunity to take the outside shot or to attack off the dribble or something like that.
I think a big thing about it is communication too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
It's going to your coach and saying, "Hey, coach, this is something I'm interested in. I'm totally fine with playing the position you think that I can play to best help the team.
I want to fit into the team, but
right. But this is where I think I have the ability to, or this is where I'd like to have the opportunity to play. What can I work on to get to that point?" And he may blow you off the first time and say, look, you're playing here. But that's where you can work on some of the skills and maybe come back and have that conversation a second time after you've shown, look, I'm committed to doing that. So work on your ball handling is a big one, right?
Yep.
Especially from any interior player moving to the exterior. And then a lot of these attacking type things that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that it's really, you got to go in and kind of have, you don't want to have that entitled point of view where it's like, hey, coach, I've been doing all this work. Now I should be playing where I want to play. that's a good way to really have that conversation shut down in a way that you're not going to be happy with. But if you go in and you're like, Coach, I really want to fit as best into the team as I can. I just want to let you know I've been working really hard on my skills in the off season. I think I've kind of really developed my outside game a little bit. Just want to throw that out there that if I get the opportunity to work, kind of exhibit that on the team, I'd love to get that opportunity or something like that. Where it's just you're putting it out there, you're not making it a deal breaker, you're not acting entitled, but the coach is just aware.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Okay, next question. Chingu OK is asking, will this program ever be available on podcasts? I don't know. Maybe we've had a few people ask about that. If that's something that you guys want, you gotta let us know and we can figure that out. Kanal is asking how to make contact with the defender without giving up a foul.
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on that.
Get your pretty face right in the frame. There we go.
Pretty, that's interesting.
Okay, you're my brother. Go for it. He's asking how to make contact with the defender without giving up a foul.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked on that a little bit. The biggest thing is making sure that you're using angles and attacking the basket, right? So as you're going to the rim, you're attacking right at the shoulder of that defender, right at the hip of that defender, whatever side you're attacking on. And make sure you go right at that and just let the contact happen.
Yep.
Right? I mean, you do want to make sure that you're controlling yourself, you're staying on balance, but that contact is essentially because the defender's in your line. So if I'm going directly to the rim and as I'm going, Casey's in the way, it's not a foul on me. And he's usually not going to be stationary in that point either. So it's not likely the defender's going to get a foul. Where you get into a fouling scenario typically is by extending that arm. And anytime you extend an arm, an elbow, anything like that, that's usually when you're going to get the foul. If your shoulder hits somebody, you're almost never going to get a call in the game of basketball anywhere, really.
Yeah, and you need to practice this too. A lot of people, they think that they can just go through the motions and then have it come out in the game like they want it to. Not going to work. Get your dad out there, get your brother, your sister, whoever, and have them play defense and work on that. Just drill it and work on trying to make it as subtle as possible. Maybe you start off and you're actually doing things that you're not supposed to do. Somebody that's watching can help you figure that out as well, because you want it to make it look like it's just part of your attack towards the basket, not like you're deliberately creating contact, right?
I think one of us is going to get knocked down on the floor at some point.
Oh, jeez. Don't even start with me. How dare you? This one is from Gerald, who says, how to block shots without fouling. Well, you got to go straight up. If you're swinging your arm and you're trying to spike that thing into the third row, that's a great way to send the message to the referee that you want to get a foul called on you. We see it in the pros. We see it with people that are trying to make this big splashy play. But if you're trying to block a shot, that is not really a good approach, because as soon as your arm starts to come down or you start to swing, that looks like a foul. That's all that most refs need. It just needs to look kind of like a foul. And, the other thing too is that if you need to look at your objective when you're blocking a shot. Do you just want to block the shot and not get the possession back? Then you can do that and you can swing at it. But if you want to block the ball and get the possession of the ball, go up there, just change the directionality of the ball and go grab it. That's real. If you make that kind of play, that's a big time play, right?
Well, and I think there's two totally different scenarios from a trying to block a shot perspective. The first one is, are you guarding the player? You almost never want to try to block a shot when you're the player that's matched up with the guy who's shooting the ball. You want to freeze. You want to keep him between your shoulders and knees. You want to freeze with your arms straight up and make him finish over the top of you. If you're a help side defender and your teammate hasn't been beat completely, where you have to step in and seal off the basket, if they kind of have them sealed up and you're just coming over to kind of help, that's where I think you have the opportunity to try to block a shot, especially if you're a taller, longer player. That is an opportunity to go up and block a shot, but not when you're guarding the player, because that's a mistake a lot of people make. Is I get in and I get a shot fake and the guy's jumping out of his shoes trying to block my shot. It's almost always going to be a foul if you get him off the feet. And you see that in the NBA a ton, even out of three-point line.
Yeah.
Guys show the ball, they get somebody in the air, they go into him and throw up a shot, and all of a sudden it's a
Once
foul.
you're in the air and the other player isn't, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And, like we were talking about earlier, benefit of the doubt typically is going to go to the offensive player. And if you're the defensive player and you've got yourself in that position, you're kind of out of luck. Okay, lightning round, because we got to wrap this up already. Let's see here. Kevin Rivera is asking how to get a better release. Number 1, practice. Number 2, practice. And then number 3 is practice. Right?
Yeah, and I think just having a good touch of the ball. If it's a lay-in, you want to make sure you're really soft with the ball. If you're shooting it, it's flop wrist. Just make sure you have a good touch and practice a lot.
So diligent, purposeful practice where you're actually being analytical. You're looking at what you're doing. You're doing some videotaping of your release and looking at that. I would also suggest that you go check out any of our videos on shot science, but also we have shot science all access at shotscience.com where we break down all the elements of shooting. We show you exactly what you need to be doing. So go check out shot science all access, and I think that would be a good place for you. Let's see here.
Lightning.
Oh, Brad Blaylock is asking how to avoid charges.
How to avoid charges. I think the biggest thing is just being under control,
Yep,
right? And being
control.
able to stop on 2 feet and not run somebody over.
Exactly. Bradley Richardson, let's say Bradley is asking you how to throw harder passes. You got to step into the pass and you got to snap with your wrist and really make sure that you are stepping into it, really, I think.
Don't pull back. Follow through
Yep.
wherever you're throwing that ball.
Christian is saying, hey, I'm a skinnier player as far as post-up goes. Sometimes I have a guy behind me and I have them fronted. When the ball gets passed to me, the defender is able to reach around me. How do I stop it? You got to get your butt down. You got to get your butt into their knees. You got to get your elbows out because going around elbows is not fun. These things are sharp. So if you have your arms out and your elbows out, you're not holding them back. You're not doing this guy right here. You got these into their body. That is not fun, right?
I think the biggest thing is in the sitting position, right? Using your butt to push back into them, because a lot of players think if I just stay really tall, I can get higher, but you're allowing the player to get better access to the ball. The wider you are versus the taller you are is almost more important than the post.
And also, if you've got your butt into their knees or into their legs, it's going to be impossible for them to jump.
Yeah, or they'll just fall on top of your back, and it's over the back on a rebound, or if they're going for the ball, it's going to be a foul.
Right. Josu 3V is asking, in a fast break, how can I beat a 2-on-1? So I'm assuming you're one of the 2 on the 1 player, right?
Well, I'm probably...
How to beat the 2-on...
Let's go both ways real quick. Lightning, real quick.
Okay, if you're the offensive player, you need to make that... In both situations, you need to make sure you are the one that is forcing the other person to react.
Okay, offense, go. I'll go defense.
Okay, on offense, if you're attacking that guy, you want to give him a look off, you want to give him a pass fake, or you want to pass the ball before they're expecting you to do that. Right, so I'm looking and I'm faking the pass, and then I go up for the layup, or I'm looking like I'm going to pass or take the shot, and I pass it before he has a chance to come out at me. So that's kind of how I would approach that.
Yeah, make them commit on the defensive side. Same thing, make them commit. So the biggest thing is hedge at him with your body to make him pick up the ball and try to pass while you stay in the lane. And if he doesn't bite, maybe you need to come all the way over and stop him, commit to that player. But the biggest thing, I think, in a 2-on-1 as a defender, stop the ball, but keep a hand in the lane.
Yep.
And you may be able to stop it just by hedging and then staying back in the lane. But you also want to kind of come over, stop him, seal him off, and keep that hand in the lane so that he can't pass to the defender.
We actually have a video on exactly that. It's called the Break Breaker or something like that. We did it a couple years ago. Go check that out. And we talk exactly about how to stop the 2-on-1 fast break. Okay. Let's see. Adam Muhammad is asking how to know when to finish the layup and when to pass out to a teammate in the post. Well, why would your teammate be in the post? Well, it really comes down to whether your shot is contested, whether your teammate is open or has a better shooting opportunity than you do.
So I think, first thing, have you beat your defender?
Yeah.
So are you at the rim? And then it's realizing, what is the help defender doing? Have they stepped over to cut the lane off? Well, then it's an obvious pass, right? And it's either to the guy that he helped off of, or if their help defense is really good, somebody rotated down, and you need to find the next player, which may be a cross-the-court pass. If you have an open layup, you always take it. So that's easy, right? And if the other side of it, you just have to see who helped, and then is there a secondary help where you have to find the next person who's open.
Right.
But be under control. Jump stop.
Yep.
So you can find that player.
Exactly. Being under control is probably one of the best things that you can really work on as a player.
Yep.
Because the ones that are out of control are the ones that are making the mistakes. They're fouling. They're kicking the ball out of bounds. They're tripping. Control. It's a huge thing. This one is from Kanal, who's asking, what drills can I do to practice attacking the basket when I'm alone in the gym?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole list of them. First off, you got to work on your ball handling drills, right? I think that's the biggest thing, is just the basic foundation of ball handling.
Yep.
We have a whole section on our all access stuff on our website about ball handling, getting those keys down. The second, I think, is just really focusing on deliberate moves to the basket, right? The
Yep.
more dynamic movements. So that's working on, catching the ball, jab step like there's a defender playing you, and really try to picture that defender is actually there. Jab step, show them the ball, and go through just different movement patterns of how to attack the basket.
And the 3 pillars of practice, where you're doing the diligent, kind of slowed down stuff, where you're really dialing everything in. Second pillar, where you're doing the game speed, game intensity practice. And then the third pillar, which is the game experience, where you're playing pickup games and school games and all that, and getting the experience of the first two kind of in real game execution.
Well, just one quick last really important thing on that, right? So the biggest thing is game speed is you should not do a perfect rep every time if you're going game speed. You should be pushing yourself to go harder and harder and harder. And you should lose the ball 20, 30, 50% of the time when you're going through it, and you should get better with that. But push yourself to lose the ball and be out of control. Dribble it off your foot because you're going all out full speed trying to get better.
Okay, Josu 3V is asking, how do I get more confidence on the court? Confidence really is a touchy subject, but for me personally, I think the best way to get confidence is to have confidence in the execution of your skills. And so you have to really work on developing your skills behind the scenes and in the off season, because if you are confident in your execution of those skills, you're going to be confident when you step out on the court, because everything's going to work in the way that you want it to work, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's using your practice time to really get the best out of it.
Yep.
Right. So it's finding the best content that you can, the best drills you can, focusing in on those, and using your time wisely, and not just going out and kind of fluffing around.
Okay, so we have questions for you guys. We want to know 2 things. This is the question that we ask every time we have one of these shows, and that is, where in the world are you guys from? We are in Santa Cruz, California. We want to know if you guys are from Latvia. Are you from Lithuania? Are you from Chile? Are you from Japan?
Manila.
Yeah, we want to know. So let us know in the chat where you guys are from. Our second question is this. What is your favorite dribble attack? Is it the crossover dribble? Is it the hesitation dribble? Is it the flat back, scissor? We want to know. What is your favorite attack move? And leave that in the chat. And before we go, we want you guys to go check out shotscience.com, because we have all of our cool stuff there, whether it's our Naismith is my homeboy t-shirt. If you know who he is, you guys are awesome. Our Shot Science shirts. You can pick up any of those. You can get the jump box. You can also check out the Shot Science All Access. And that's the thing we were talking about just a little while ago, where we go through and we show you guys these tutorials and demonstrations and instruction on all the things that are important to developing your game in basketball. So if you guys are interested in that, go to shotscience.com, click on the All Access option, and we have the free month still going, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys want a free month of that, go put that in the shopping cart, and then you can use the offer code 1 free month ! All of it uppercase, right?
Yep.
And you can get a free month of that. So go check that out right now. 1 free month ! And we will see you guys next time, right?
Sounds good. Check out All Access. We got some great tutorials on there, great walkthroughs. We'll give you all the details. See you next time.
Lots of cool little videos. We want to see you guys over there. All right. See you guys later.